Aloha mai kako. Welcome to The Music Within, our podcast focused on dignity, beauty, and truth. We are recording here in Honolulu, Hawaii at Holy Family Life Office. Mahalo for joining us today. I am Maile Ayu Domingo with Hamau Iloko Foundation, our nonprofit whose vision is to uphold human dignity and build a culture of family. We've been working on this since 2007, executing, offering classes, discussions, talk story about the dignity of our sexuality, and it has been quite revealing. And today we have Jimena and our guest Eddie, and I want to just welcome Jimena today.
Hi, Miley. Thank you. My name is Jimena Suarez, and I'm from Ecuador, but moved to Hawaii last year. And our organization is Ama La Vida. It's an organization that takes care of the life of the unborn and especially their environment. And we started in 2017 in Puebla, Mexico, and we work giving conferences about the dignity of life. We had a radio program, and we broadcast live and family events. We support pregnant women under vulnerable conditions that have decided to keep their babies. And now we are offering the Creighton Model System, which is a family planning method for couples. And okay, the second part of our show usually is that we share news every week about the pro-life movement and what is going on around us. And right now we have the 40 Days for Life campaign around the world in more than 60 countries. And Honolulu is part of this campaign, and it's been great for me. It's been the first time that I joined here in Honolulu. And we have great news this week because there's the second life saved as part of the campaign. That means that because of the volunteers of the campaign, couple decided not to have an abortion, because the campaign is that you pray outside the Planned Parenthood this place where they have abortions, and the volunteers, some of them pray, and some of them they approach the couples or the girls. And 2 weeks ago we had a couple that it was great. Like, this is something that I haven't even, like, I pray for it, but I didn't even consider. It was such a nice surprise because when we arrived there on a Tuesday, there was a boy there waiting for his girlfriend that was having an abortion, and he stayed there for like more than 2 hours, and so many volunteers talked to him, and he was like, I am pro-life, but we cannot have our baby because we live in New York, and over there is so difficult with COVID, blah, blah. It was so discouraging for me. Like, I was about to cry. Like, I couldn't believe that he was there. Like, it only needed for him to go inside and just take his girlfriend out of the place, but you know that then you realize it's a spiritual battle, because there are no words. Like, we told him everything. We prayed for him, and he actually told me that he was Catholic and he received miraculous medal. And I told him I was praying the rosary, and I really felt that Our Lady really loves you. And he's like, yeah, because I'm Catholic, and I want to go to mass, and where should I go? But still, like, nothing made him change his mind. So, okay, you just live by faith. I kept praying. We left, and then a couple of hours later, the volunteers told us that they found out that we had a big Saturday vigil. Before that, it was Tuesday, but on Saturday there were many groups of different parishes, and on Monday 3 workers of Planned Parenthood, they quit after this big vigil. Like, it was the only explanation for us, because it was weird. Like, there were so many volunteers praying. They prayed, like, I don't know, like 40 rosaries or something. Like, and they quit. So that's why this guy was so long outside the place, this kid that I'm telling you about, because the girls, they came in at 8, and there weren't enough people to attend them, no doctors, so they stay even until 3 in the afternoons, the ones that arrived very early, because they were like, they didn't know what to do. The people, they just quit on Monday. So that happened. And because of that, some of the volunteers, they talked to another guy that his girlfriend was inside, and he called her, and he's like, leave the place. I'm talking to these volunteers, and they really encourage me, and just let's have our baby. And the girlfriend left the clinic. But what is it's amazing, this miracle, because this baby, his name is Royal, his skull cap is not fully formed. So that's why they advise them, of course, like get the abortion. And the thing is that you don't even know if that's like 100% truth, because sometimes they tell them this, and then the baby is born like completely healthy.
Yeah.
But so they advised them to get the abortion, gave them the medicine. But we keep praying for them, of course, for the baby. They've been going to a pro-life doctor now, and so that's the second baby of the campaign, plus a bonus 3 Planned Parenthood workers that quit.
Wow.
That's really amazing news. It's such a victory for life. And to know that the power of your prayer outside of business of a abortion provider can yield the life of 2 children and the hearts of 3 workers is really beautiful. Jimena, I am so proud of you and the work
Praise
that
God.
you have done, and all the people that come together to bring their prayer and to truly stand up for the dignity of the life within, of the mother that's struggling, of the father that's not quite sure what his role is, especially in this 21st century, and to continue to stand up for the dignity of life. We have to, and we can. And so today I especially invite all of you listeners to stand up for the dignity of life in all moments, right? All stages. In other news, I'd like to share with you, you people, to remind you that we are a republic government. We are a representative government. And that means that one of the actions we can take to uphold human life is to ask our representatives to support these principles and values legislatively. And in fact, they have taken an oath to uphold the values of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as the language documented in our United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. We have a right and a responsibility to do that. So I encourage you, reach out to your people. Today, I, in particular, would like to mahalo the Hawaii State Representatives who voted against HB 576. This is a bill that gives registered nurses the authority to perform abortions. In other words, not doctors, right? And unfortunately, it has passed the House and moved into the floor of the Senate for one last hearing. But I'd like to publicly appreciate the courage of these representatives. That's Aquino, Cullen, Eli, Har, Kong, Matsumoto, McDermott, Okimoto, and Ward. Mahalo for standing for life. There was also another bill proposed in the Senate, I believe. This authorizes registered nurses and physicians to assist those who are dying more hastily through the use of pharmaceuticals. And unfortunately, there were only 4 senators who stood against that authorization. I'd like to recognize them as well. They are Favela, Gabbard, Kim, and Riviere. Those senators voted against the bill. If you live in any of their districts and they are your representatives or senators, I ask you to call them and thank them for standing up for life. In today's show, we get to talk about a different element of life, and we're going to be addressing the healthy choices that we have in relation in particular to the hormonal chemicals that are often used to aid the body or walk the body through a particular symptoms, and sometimes just mask the symptoms. And so today I'm pleased to, of course, have my partner, Jimena, here talking story with our incredible guest. I'd like to welcome back Ed Coda. He is, again, the founder of Coda Financial Group and ministers all over the world with his beautiful and lovely wife, Betty Coda. He has been a powerful mentor in my life, and I'm just delighted to share the wisdom and the heart of this man that has impacted my life for many years. Today we'll be in particularly addressing the health of the feminine body. Ed, aloha.
Thank you so much. Aloha. And thank you, Ximena, for sharing about the particularly the fathers of those babies, because they are forgotten usually in this whole abortion issue. And yet they suffer trauma and despondency and regret just as much as the women do, and they have no say in it typically. And it's really something that is ignored by our society, like the man's supposed to just take it. But it's not that easy. We work with men all the time that are really struggling after having had, even if they elected abortions, they have the regret afterward, to encourage the spouse or the girlfriend. Anyway, I just really want to thank my beautiful wife, Betty, for being willing to carry the new life of our 6 children in her body. And now we have 9 grandchildren, and I'm so thankful to our children to do that too. But it's really, really special. One of the things I have to tell all of you today is that Betty and I have a couple motto, and that motto is that we are blessed and fortunate. And we've said that so many times that our kids almost laugh when they hear it, but they say it as well. And it's because we've been guided, guarded, and protected by God in a strange way to us through all of this culture that we live in, and somehow made it work. And, now in retrospect, I can look back and I can realize that things really fell into place for us when 4 years before we were married, Betty and I decided to wait until we were married to have sex. And that 4 years was a real cornerstone to becoming friends, becoming, working through fights and everything that we needed to go through without having the luxury of sex interfering with our judgment. It made it so real by the time we got married that we were ready to be married. We knew we loved each other unconditionally, and just as we hoped, sex became icing on the cake after we got married. But we lived we went through the 60s and 70s, the whole thing of the hippie movement and all of the challenges and the things that we did with the war in the 70s. And somehow we see at every turn that God intervened for us. I can tell you that the one thing that we always did is we went to Sunday Mass. No matter how little faith we seemed to have, somehow we had a connection enough to go to Sunday Mass or think that we needed to go to Sunday Mass. And so through all of these things, we stayed connected to God. We had God in our life in a very special way. And I think that was really kept us from going too far astray, because we're in the 60s and there was experimentation of every kind going on. We never got too far into any experimentation to,
in terms of the sexual revolution.
Yes, exactly. So we did hold on to that discipline of waiting till marriage. But I think that made it so much easier after we got married to use and choose natural family planning as a method of birth control. That's how we saw it back then, that it was another way to prevent pregnancy when we weren't ready. And it gave us that first year, which was really critical because the pill had come out the year before we got married. And during that year, when we were using natural family planning, we were able to see all of our friends who were having symptoms and side effects of the pill.
Wow.
And we were like, wow, it did that to you and it did that to you. And, you know, women had this bleeding problem and you know, it's supposed to solve these problems. But I'm telling you, these side effects were really bad back then. And it really made us say, you know, we will never use the pill. So we didn't know what contraception we would use, but we definitely knew the pill was going to be bad. But when then we moved to Kailua, and we moved to Hawaii, landed in Kailua, and back then Kailua was the hippie town. Yeah, we were surrounded by naturalists and purists and hippies, and these people, in some cases, didn't even believe using deodorant or soap because they thought it was putting harmful things, agents on their bodies. And so what they did convey to us is a really important message that we could pollute our bodies by what we put in them or even what we put on them because it goes through the pores. And you know, we saw these guys as a little weird. We still use soap and we still use deodorant, but it also kind of became an easy thing for us when we became certified instructors for natural family planning in 1982. It was these people who filled our classes, and many of them were atheists. They had no religion. They had nothing other than wanting to be natural.
A regard for the body.
And we were recruiting all in the church, but we couldn't get anyone in the church to come to our classes. But we kept having classes, and we had to teach Catholic theology as part of the classes, but they put up with it and listened to it, and who knows, maybe we actually touched some of them. But I thought that it was really interesting how we got started. I think that the fact that these non-believers came to find out how to regulate birth without chemicals and hormones was very telling at the time, and now it's time for everybody to realize how critical that is. I'd like to share from a study done in Germany about the effectiveness of various forms of birth regulation, including contraception. First of all, do you know the only 3 ways to have 100% effectiveness of avoiding pregnancy?
Well, I know abstinence.
Yeah. Abstinence.
Yeah.
And total hysterectomy and total male castration.
Wow.
Not a very pretty picture, is it?
Ouch.
Every other method has surprise pregnancies, so they all have an effectiveness rate less than 100%. But most people will be shocked with disbelief to know that the symptothermal method of natural family planning as taught by the Couple to Couple League proved to have a higher effectiveness rating at 99.6% than female sterilization, which only had an effectiveness rating of 99.5%.
Would that be like tubal ligation?
Tubal ligation, exactly.
Okay.
That's what it means. And so women that have had their tubes tied have surprise pregnancies. One of our best friends is exactly in that boat. So it's also more effective than the IUD, which only tested 99.4%. Condoms actually are only 98% effective.
If you use them.
And the pill did test at 99.7%, which of course is 1/10 of 1% higher than the symptothermal method. But when you're talking about 0.1%, what you're saying is these are all the same. They all have the same effectiveness. So do you really need to be putting chemicals in your body to alter your own systems, or can you do it without? And that's the whole point, is that in Germany, because of the testing, natural family planning is one of the state-sponsored methods of birth regulation that's offered.
Wow, that's amazing.
That is
They
amazing.
should teach everyone.
Well, I think your statistics indicate the truth.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, of course, we all say we should follow the science, but most people only want to follow the science when it's convenient for them. And that's the sad part, is that science has shown this. And here's the other thing I want to point out, is that when you learn through natural family planning, get the knowledge of what's going on in a woman's body, and you start to develop the respect and the dignity that you see in God's creation, it gives you just a new awe and understanding of each other. And it is so real that the Catholic bishops of the United States did a survey a few years ago, and they discovered that the divorce rate among Catholics practicing natural family planning was actually 2%. And so with the standard of error, we have to say less than 5%.
Wow.
But among Catholics as a whole, in the church today, it's over 30%. And you would think that Catholics wouldn't be getting divorced, but it is true. And it's very sad.
I think that those statistics alone causes me to think that natural family planning is a huge tool that we really want to be putting into the pockets of our, engaged and married couples. I mean, those statistics of the effectiveness of natural family planning is huge. And well, first of all, it's knowledge that maybe some people never knew. So thank you for bringing that to light. Second of all, it's truth about understanding the simple rhythms and mechanisms and evidence that our body will indicate
Yes.
our fertility cycle, our fertility seasons, and we can make decisions based on that. Ed, you have so much wisdom from, I'm sure, your years of working with people, working with couples, but most of all from working and understanding your couplehood with your wife, Betty. And I think that's such an invitation for all of us, men and women, to see the magnificence of the female body. And like, I'm sitting here watching you. Obviously, this is recorded, so they can't see your face, but I'm like, the awe that I see in your expression about the love and desire you have for your wife, because you understand her body. You understand how it speaks to you, but most of all, how it speaks to the call to communion for both of you. And I think one of the other things that I loved about your expression is that natural family planning having basically a 99% plus, right, effectiveness, as all the other chemical options and barrier options, we can offer this as a tool to people to bring their human intelligence and ability into play, into providing them a healthier body, a healthier interaction, to understand the natural rhythms of our fertility. And I think our listeners might be wondering about their situations going on with their bodies. And I know that many women are recommended to start taking artificial hormonal contraceptions for the body, but it's not offered as anything having to do with birth regulation, but rather bodily and health symptoms that women struggle with. And so I'm kind of wondering, Jimena or Ed, would you be able to shed some light on some of the health results that are possible by using natural family planning, either the symptothermal method or the Creighton model system?
Well, yes, there are many actually health benefits. For example, in the Creighton model system, I think like you also can use the method for avoiding or achieving, but also there is something extra because it offers you the other part that is naprotechnology. So you can complement what you're doing, your charting about your fertility with this OBGYN that has this training about natural procreation. So it complements what you're learning when you're charting about your cycle, and you can see in your cycle you can prevent maybe that you have some hormonal problem, and the doctor can give you some hormone that is a natural hormone, and you can prevent having having a spontaneous abortion because of these low hormones, and just by doing this is because by looking at your chart you can identify that, and is for me that's amazing because I've seen in my couples that they are like, I know that I have some hormonal problems. The girls tell me, I know, and when we started charting, yes, like we see it there. And before they get the blood test, we already tell them, I think you're low on this hormone and hormone. And then when they come back, it's like, wow, how did you know? I got the test, and at the lab they told me you're low on this. And then they take the hormone, natural hormone, and they, how are you feeling? I'm feeling great. That was what I was missing. And so that's and that's something that, as Ed was saying, is so beautiful. It's empowering to know about your body. And sometimes they say, oh, women, they are crazy because they are hormonal, and but then they feel that reassured that, oh, I was right, I knew that there was something going on. And the worst thing you could give to these girls is the pill, because that's just like artificial hormones, and the show is not about that. But instead of looking, that's for me is so ironic that OBGYNs, instead of trying to heal their patients, they are giving them exactly what it is going to damage them and is going to make them sick. Is like they go on the opposite way, and it's so sad because they are trained like that. It's not that like I have friends and OBGYNs and because, but they are not trained. They think like this natural family planning, this is like from the caveman age, like that's like a myth. It doesn't work. They truly are. Like I've shared this with you, but I had doctors sitting next to me in these trainings, and they were like, when it was over the training, it's like they don't teach anything of this at med school. Like this is the first time I hear about cervical mucus, I don't know, like keeping the sperm alive for 5 days inside the body. They have actually told us that the sperm it dies right away. So they are like also in awe, even the doctors.
Yeah.
So that's why I really encourage couples that is beneficial. Of course, what you're saying is amazing. That is beneficial for the couple, but it's also this is beneficial for your health.
I think that what you're saying is so good because when couples start to adopt natural family planning, they're open to looking and searching and researching. And, doctors prescribe because they make money prescribing. It's sad. Our system is set up that's how they, if they just tell you to go do natural family planning, they're not going to get paid for it. But if they prescribe the pill, they get to count that as, their income. So today the pill is being prescribed for everything from painful menstruation to acne and PMS and PCOS and endometriosis and all these things. Um, and they tout that there's a reduced risk of uterine cancer, but they don't mention that there's a higher risk of breast cancer and liver cancer and all the other side effects from it. So one of the things that we actually offer as part of our class is a book that Marilyn Shannon wrote called Fertility, Cycles, and Nutrition. And her book totally gives hope and reassurance that you can naturally and effectively solve so many of these problems without any side effects. And she has it all documented in this beautiful book and gives you step by step which vitamins and which supplements and which types of things you can do to, in some cases, actually cure the problem. This is really critical because the pill actually is trying to solve symptoms. It's not solving the problem. And in solving symptoms, sometimes it's even worse. So, for instance, if you have a pain in your back, you can start taking Aleve and other medications, drugs even, to get rid of the pain. But the problem in the back is still there. And as soon as the medication starts to wear off, the pain is back, so you take another pill. And before you know it, you're addicted to pills, and you're not addressing the problem at all. You're just working on symptoms. And so I think what Marilyn Shannon's book does, it teaches you to address the real causes and solve those instead of constantly working and worrying about symptoms. And it only makes sense. Why don't people get it? They're being led down this path that's maybe easy, but it's not doing anything for them.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Ed. And I think it's a mindset, right? Our mindset is run away, cover up that pain. And we rarely are encouraged to go to the source of that pain. But if you really look at a lot of these symptoms that have to do with the female reproductive system, most of them are connected to a nutritional deficiency. And that's why Marilyn Shannon's book is so powerful. Cramps are an indication, ladies, that we are lacking a nutrient. And so if we simply discover what that nutrient is, then we can really heal our body through nutrition. Studies today are proving that a simple commitment to consuming the right nutrients, right vitamins, and making good choices about what we put into our body, allowing food to be our medicine, we can actually solve things like type 2 diabetes, PMS, acne, PCOS, and many other insulin-related ailments or diet-related ailments. Jimenez Creighton model method and the skills that she teaches through her method can help bring great understanding not only to the diet element, but also the hormonal element by simply observing the symptoms and charting those, kind of like decoding your body. And Jimena is great at teaching those life skills, helping you understand, not just as women, but even as couples, to understand what's happening there. And I think you would be blessed to sign up for Jimena's Creighton Model Method class. We invite you to register with her today. One more question I wanted to ask you too is that in the last 30 plus years, there's been so many discoveries about the body and about the effects of contraception, hormonal contraception on our body. And Eddie, you were speaking about the 60s and the 70s when people were trying out the first batches, I guess, of the pill and those kind of contraceptions. And what have we discovered and what should we be aware of in putting those kind of chemicals into our body?
Well, There is so much to talk about when we should analyze like what is causing all this hormonal contraception. But yesterday, actually, at the vigil, I saw a group of girls, like girlfriends, that were going inside Planned Parenthood, probably like to get the pill, because they were like laughing, and it was like, no, we're not coming for an abortion. Yeah. And I was like, oh, the first thing I like, it came to my mind is that I told them they give you low hormonal oral contraception. Like they, former director of Planned Parenthood, she said that we intentionally give them like bad quality oral contraception. Why?
Yeah.
So they get pregnant.
And they come back for an abortion.
Get to do an abortion where they make their big money.
It's perpetuating their business.
Yeah, they are because for them it's not a business if they give them them contraception, right? Why would they do that?
Oh.
So, and she said that like maybe not every Planned Parenthood worker is aware of that, but a former director, the ones that are on a high level, they say like we intentionally give them this to the high school kids when they go and they give the sexuality these conferences. Nice Planned Parenthood, we want to teach you about sexuality and everything. So I was telling the girls like, don't take that, they are gonna give you bad quality, you're gonna get pregnant, they want you to get an abortion, you're coming to an abortion place. And they were like, oh. And actually they were going for something for the STD test, and they, because I'm not telling you their names or anything, I can share this, and I was like, oh, we have a flyer about this of other places for free where they can get that. And I'm like, go to these places, you don't have to go to Planned Parenthood to get an STD test, and these places are for free. So that was just a comment on you know why I am sharing this, because this is something that is created, I don't know, to damage I don't know, your body, and to damage relationships, as you already shared by the statistics. And also it gives you a mindset of rejecting life, even subconsciously, because you're taking contraception against conception. You are against your baby before is born. You're not realizing this, but you are already taking the abortion pill when you're taking contraception. It's really like hard what I'm saying, but this is the philosophy of this. I'm not even starting to talk about the hormonal effects, but that's no wonder abortion has increased so much in our culture, because you really are against life when you take this, but you don't realize it. So if it doesn't work, it's very effective, as Ed was saying, but if it doesn't work, you're gonna think sadly about abortion. Many people will not, because they have strong moral values, but still they are gonna have a hard time rejecting accepting the baby, at least, like, let's be honest, at least for an hour, 2 hours or something. Like, it's gonna be like, oh, I was really planning not, right? Like, so it's not that I'm judging anyone, but it's just what it is, the effects of this kind of things. And it's so sad, because yeah, and like, it's not even, we're not even talking about only our bodies, but the body and the life of us completely innocent. And I'm sharing this also because in my family, like, it's a personal story, but my mom was using like contraception, I don't know which one, and she got pregnant of me. It didn't work very well. And so she was like, oh, okay, like they have moral values, so they were like, okay, happy of having their baby. But when she tells me the story, I think like it was a shock, you know. It's like, okay, like like the doctor told me. So that's why I can know that it always gonna cause you just like a moment, even if you really love your baby, it's a moment of confusion. And when we teach these natural family methods, Dr. Hilgers, the creator, he says every baby is a love baby. It's a baby that we love, because Planned Parenthood is like every baby is a plant baby, and we say like every baby is a love baby, because when with this method we're not telling them anything, but when we teach them about their bodies, they see the beauty of this. And when the baby comes, they are so happy, like even if it was like an accident or I don't know, like because they like
Not planned.
they they didn't plan it. But there is something special about natural family planning, that it doesn't lead you to this feeling of but wanting to save the baby. And like in my couples, I've seen this, that they are avoiding, but when they got pregnant, and unfortunately they had a miscarriage, but she was so sad, and she's like, they were avoiding, but she was like, oh, I wish I would call you before. I would call up the doctor, so you would have helped me. And nobody of like the doctor or me, we didn't know that they got pregnant. But they know that also the professionals around them, we are there to support life, and we love life. So that's something also nice, that is nice to offer that to couples.
Yeah, I like your thing about Planned Parenthood's motto of every baby is a love baby, because every baby is a planned baby, and yet all the 50 million that were aborted weren't very loved, were they? Mm-hmm. It's just so sad that they can get away with discounting the aborted babies as not being loved, or calling it love because they aborted them. I don't know. It's very strange. Mm-hmm. But what I really would hope people get is that the problem with the birth control pill is that they are made with artificial hormones, including estrogen and progestin. You may have heard the controversy about genetically modified foods, GMOs. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, with the pill, it's very similar. The chemical composition is actually altered from the chemical formula of the naturally occurring estrogen and progestin made by your body. In other words, they are using a type of GMO to mimic and fool your body into doing something unnatural. The pill has to be so powerful that it overrides what your body is trying to do by making it look like you're having a normal cycle or a normal period, when in fact you're not having a period. And you also have to cause bleeding to happen when the possibility of a new life has been conceived, in order to make sure it gets aborted and not implant in the uterine lining. Wow. So these hormones are designed to totally alter naturally occurring things at the opposite times from when they're supposed to be happening in your body. I was thinking about, would you take some pill that stopped you from blinking because you don't like to be interrupted by blinks? And then you think about, well, if I did that, my eyes would all dry up, they'd start turning red, I'd probably lose my vision very shortly, because I'm altering a normal, natural thing. Mm-hmm. And then I said, well, what about stopping your tongue from moving when you're talking? It gets in the way. I bite it every once in a while, so stop my tongue. Oh, hey, I can talk now without moving my... I mean, it sounds so stupid. And yet, that's what we're doing by putting these hormones in our bodies, or in the woman's body. She's the one that really has to suffer. So let me give you another analogy. Many people know that you need iron, zinc, calcium minerals that are very important to your health and nutrition, right? But if you want to find iron in nature, you find a big rock, iron ore. That's where it is. And so I ask you, would you pick up a pile of this dirt and put it in your mouth and chew on it and swallow it?
No.
Okay. Well, that's putting artificial iron in your mouth that's not assimilated. So God created a very important process of plants that extract the iron out of the soil and then put it in a form that we can put it into our bodies and use it. And so when you're taking something that's not natural and you try to put it in your body, it's going to cause side effects. If you put dirt in your mouth, you're going to get sick. If you, use the correct form, you're going to get healthy. Well, these hormones are created with different chemical formulas so that they're not identical to the normal formula that your body's estrogen and progesterone use. And so it's got to do something irregular in your body, and that's where the side effects all come from. And side effects, we'll talk about it, I think, in the next session, but they're horrendous. If you ever want to read an insert from a pill box, you would never, ever take a pill again if you really understood what it's doing to you.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I think both of you present a mindset that we need to be aware of, both the ethical mindset that affects our heart, Hime, and Ed, the physiological mindset that we should be aware of. Because we have a tool, and that tool is to have a mindset that necessarily yields an outcome or a result. And that outcome is literally our life, right? Every action, every creation once began with a thought. The Golden Gate Bridge, that fancy little microphone, that piece of jewelry that you have on, right? It started with a seedling of thought. And those thoughts literally yield the life that we live. So let's utilize this great gift of our intelligence. Let's cast a vision for ourselves. Ladies and gentlemen, what kind of life do you want to live? And then we're so learned, we have so much available to us, we can know and understand the laws of nature. What Eddie's talking about, it's nature's law that when you put chemicals like dirt into your body, it's going to have an effect, a poor effect, a sorrowful effect, and we'll cover that on another series. But my point is that we have the power to cast a vision, the power to look at nature's laws, the power to discern what are our options. What do we want to choose for our life, right? And then we have one of my favorite gifts, the freedom to make a choice. St. Augustine writes about it in his book, and he calls it free choice of will. Who'd have thunk it? We Catholics actually honor the primordial pro-choice mindset that St. Augustine writes about. Today, I'd like to invite you to begin with the result that you want. Do you want to kill your baby? Do you want to put dirt and poison into your body? Do you want to suffer because of those choices? No. So let's look at the outcome that we want for our life first. We want to adopt a mindset of beauty. We want to adopt a life-giving mindset. We want to adopt a healthful mindset so that we can equip ourselves with the knowledge to attain that outcome, apply the truth to our certain situations, and have an amazing yield. That's the brilliance and dignity with which we were created.
Amen. Wow.
Jimena, Ed, mahalo for joining us today and for bringing the wealth of knowledge from both of your professions. It's really we need to do this again. And in fact, I believe our next show will feature both of you. We're going to be talking about the effects of hormonal contraception on the body.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, and I think the next show is gonna be great, and I really look forward to it and to learn more about you too, because I really enjoy these shows, and you have a lot of knowledge and love on what you do, and I hope everyone that is listening to us is really enjoying. And I think something special is that just to have that inside you, that you're conflicted about like some things, because I think that's growing and that's maturing, and we always learn. So I felt that in this show, so really thank you.
I think people really have a hunger for truth, and I love how you just want nothing but truth spoken from this platform. And I just admire you so much for putting this together so that we can get truth out. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Eddie. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you heard today, we ask you to share our podcast with the people that you love, the people that could help their certain situations, their journey. You can look for our podcast on YouTube, Hamawi Local Foundation, and currently the list is being hosted with the Music Within, castos.com. We also ask you to support our show financially. Go to our website, hamawiloco.org, and donate via PayPal or Venmo. My name is Maile Ayu Domingo, and this is The Music Within. Aloha.